Well, hello Year 3s and Year 4s. Welcome to your science learning for week 4. How did you go last week with your table of natural and human changes from Mr. Rockster and my map that we had from years ago? So as a main activity today, I've asked you to bring along some bottles. Some clear plastic bottles was the instruction, and we're going to see if we can get 2 or 3 different samples, soil samples, in those bottles. That's the aim, to get 2 or 3 soil samples, and then we'll have some fun exploring what we find. This week I want you to start thinking about what is our soil, what is our earth made up of? What's beneath our feet is our topic, so we want to actually start thinking about what's in the soil that we're standing on. You might not come to any conclusions for that question today, you might not come to any answers, but I do want you to start thinking, what is it made up of? So how did you go collecting bottles for this week's activity? I've got 4 samples here of possible bottles. This one I think is probably the best. It's a good size. And it's also got quite a large neck, which is going to be quite useful in a minute. This one here is good too. It's nice and clear, a clear soft drink bottle, not quite so wide in the neck. And this one's very similar. This one I've got is a glass one. I would say only use glass as a last resort, because it's a little bit dangerous from the point of view, if you drop it, it could easily break, and then you've got sharp glass for you to clean up, and that becomes dangerous as well. So stick with the plastic ones if you possibly can. Glass only as a last resort if you've got parent permission to do so. With these plastic bottles, it'll be a good idea to take off the labels if you possibly can, to get this bottle as clear as you can. So I'm just going to get some scissors and take off as much as I can of those labels. This sports drink one comes off quite nicely. That one's going to peel off. In fact, I'm not going to worry too much more about that one because the bottom half's nice and clear. This one, I think I can get my scissors underneath, and then once it's got a little bit of a start, that will peel off there. Then we've got 3 nice, fairly clear bottles for us to use. Now time to go and get some soil samples. Now, a few other things that you might find useful in this soil collection: some gloves. I've just got my bike riding gloves there. If you've got an old funnel, that might be useful, but you can make up a funnel yourself out of an old bottle. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. A bit of a little garden rake that you might be able to handle. A little spade, even if it is a sand, play sand spade, and that's probably about it. Oh, maybe a bucket too. If you've got a bucket, that would be handy as well. So off I go to my first place. I've thought of 3 places to get soil samples: one from the back of the yard, one down the side, and one at the front. You don't have to do 3, 2 is quite enough, but it would be good to have more than just one to compare one with another. So off I go to get my first one. So this is where I've come for my first sample. It's in the back corner of the yard, and as you can see, it's not a beautiful lawn just here. Don't dig up the middle of your lawn, you won't be very popular if you do that. And I'm just going to scratch away at the soil, going down a little bit. And what I'm going to do is, once I've got that done, I'll scoop up some bits of the soil and put it in the bucket. Now, once it's in the bucket, I'm just going to push it round a little bit with the shovel, dig it around just to make sure it's all as smaller particles so that it gets into that bottle okay. If it's big lumpy bits, it'll be hard to get through the neck. So then I'll get the bottle, I might just put it on the ground there, some soil around it to hold it up, and with my don't even need to use the funnel there. Nice wide neck. Doesn't matter what goes in, if there's bits of roots and grass, that's all okay. Whatever you dig up, let it go in. So you'll put soil in until it's about 3/4 full, okay? Over half, and I'm just about there. Just have a try with my funnel while I'm going. Just as I thought, with the funnel, you might need to just find a bit of a stick or something and poke it through the hole, and that will help soil go in. There we go. So we're about just a bit over 3/4 full, and time to put the lid on and go and get another one. So what I suggest you do then is to get some tape and wrap it around. Maybe the bottom might be best where it's a bit out of the way, or even mark it just with a permanent marker. Just say soil sample 1, and say where you got it. Backyard. Backyard. And off we go for soil sample 2. So this is where I've come for my second soil sample. This little corner up against the fence where we've had trouble growing things, and I know the ground is going to be fairly easy to dig there too. And my final sample place is going to be out the front, actually on the nature strip. Where a tree was, it's being dug up, so I think we're going to be able to get the soil from there quite easily. So I have my soil samples there now. Soil sample 1 from the back, soil sample 2 from the side, and soil sample 3 from the front. 3 took a bit more work because the lumps were a bit bigger. There's bark chips and things in there, but we got there in the end. So what to do now is to fill them up until they're almost to the top with water. Leave a little bit of a gap so that you can shake the water up so that it dissolves as much as we can all the soil in the sample. And how are you going to fill it up? Well, I'll leave that up to you. As for me, I'll use the hose, I think, but you could use a bucket, you could use the funnel again, or even a jug. Entirely up to you this time. Here we go, filling up this one with water. just before it gets to the top. It might take a little while to sink through the soil. Take the lid off the next one. Fill it up with water too. Leaving a little bit of space at the top so that we can shake. And the final one, which was in fact our first one, won't even bother with the funnel because it's got a wide neck. Make sure I leave a little bit of room at the top. Once that's done, time for shaking. So now with all the shaking done, the only thing left is to let them sit. Now, from now on I want you to find a place where you can put them where they can sit and you don't shake them anymore. Have a really good shake to start with, but then you just want them to settle. Settle petal, nice and slowly. Fully settled might take a week. So find a spot where they can go out of the way and they have a chance to settle. I found a spot to put my bottles on the windowsill in the shed, out of people's way, so they won't be tempted to have a shake at all. So I was a little bit surprised after half an hour or so. I did see quite a bit of settling in one of the soil samples, which is interesting because there's different amount of settling in the different samples, and that's probably just what we were looking for. Hope you've enjoyed your little task today.